afternoon. It is 6:01, December the 7th, 2020. It's time to call the City Council meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin? Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Hukin?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Ryan
Here.
Mr. Taylor? Here. Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Brian, would you lead us in the prayer and pledge, please?
Lights are pretty. Our Father, we come to you tonight, and we just thank you so much for the season that's upon us, the holidays, and I pray that we would celebrate them and enjoy the time that we have. Pray that you be with this meeting tonight, be with all the business that needs to take place and the decisions that need to be made, fiscal decisions, and even this safe haven, the baby box. We pray really that for families, that this wouldn't be a need, but we know it's always been a need for loving families to raise children in their homes and with their own and love them like they were their own. So we pray your blessing upon that here in our city. Be with all our first responders and healthcare workers. Continue to watch over and protect them, and be with the residents here, and that you would protect them. Get us through this time of this pandemic. Continue to be with us and help us through it. We thank you so much for your blessings. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Okay, again, thank you everyone for coming. Outside of the baby box presentation, is there any other announcements? Any other presentations? Or any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I will ask the members of the council for their presentation. I just want to add to, back up this a little bit. We see Jenna Newton, she is part of the mayor's youth council. And Jenna, why don't, if you don't mind, could you just name everyone that's here on the council?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Jenna Newton. I'm the president of Mayor's Youth Council this year. Lillian Lacey here is our vice president. Liam Clark is our secretary. Henley is our communications chair. Emma Williams, Maggie Woods, Olivia Stone, and Abby Anderson. And then we also have some members representing here at the Board of Works meeting at 5.
And also, I think Will McGinnis is on this call too.
Virginia, yes.
Yeah, Will is also on the 5 o'clock meeting as well.
Awesome.
And is there anyone else from the Mayor's Youth Council on this call? Okay, hearing none, that's it. So, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Jenna. And you guys want to present?
All right, hi everyone. Thank you again for your time today. If you want to go ahead and go to the first slide, please. Thank you. So as I said, I'm Jenna Newton. I'm the president of the Franklin Mayor's Youth Leadership Council this year. This year definitely does look different with COVID, but we're still managing to do what we've always done, and if not more. This year we're just finding some new creative outlets to be able to pursue some of our projects. I already introduced some of our other members here, our sponsors this year, and over the last few years have been Mayor Burnett, Tara Payne, and then Ann McGinnis. And then if you are unfamiliar with what our council is, we are a high school organization, and we work with the City of Franklin and City of Franklin officials to encourage involvement in the community. We do a lot of service projects, and I wanted to name a few of those just if you're unfamiliar with it. But if you might have seen the paper over the last few weeks, we just recently did the electrical box project. And so that was a big thing that we did with the Creative Council of Franklin and then with the Interact Rotary Club at the high school. We've done the all-inclusive playground before, the water bottle filling stations at the high school, and we've created our flag. There's been a lot of things that we've been able to do. And like I said, with this year in COVID, it's definitely looked a lot different. But we have a service committee going strong in our council meetings, and right now we're working on doing some things with Ticket as they're transitioning and moving to a new location. So I'm really excited for our members to present this presentation for you guys, just to give you some more information on what the Safe Haven Baby Box is tonight, as we're looking to get a signature of approval for it. So thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Finley Shoemaker, Communications Chair. So I'm just going to give you some information about the baby box and what we're looking for moving forward. So we're looking for a location to put the baby box in, and we already have found the fire station here at Franklin, and we've communicated with the fire chief, and we have gotten approval, and we've been talking back and forth with him and the fire station to move forward with this. And then, as I said, safely, securely, and honestly, this is what this is for. Prevents unsafe infant abandonment. So typically parents who feel that they can't provide safety for their children, leave babies in unsafe places as like trash cans and other places. So we're trying to provide a place for parents to do that. And also to raise awareness for this cause, because it is a lot more likely than you know. Like I said, Fire Station 22 off King Street is where we are planning to do that, and here we are today trying to get approval from the Board of Works. And yeah, thank you.
I'm Lillian Lacey, I'm the Vice President, and so before I start with the procedure outline, I just have just a few other things to add about the baby box. So Indiana currently actually has 34 active baby boxes around the state. The first one was installed in April 2016, and since then there have been 8 babies that have been safely surrendered in baby boxes. Other than being surrendered in the baby boxes, though, Safe Haven Baby Box, the organization, they also have a hotline that mothers can call to safely surrender a baby, otherwise like not using the baby box. So they do a lot of work with that outside of that. It also, so the baby box is protected under the Indiana Safe Haven law, which states that a mother can surrender an infant without fear of arrest or persecution. So this is our procedure outline. The program information has already been reviewed by our fire chief, Matt Cole. We have the contract signature by the city attorney. The baby box order will be placed after we once get a signature, and it takes about 4 to 6 weeks. The delivery will be scheduled with the provider, and then installed by a licensed contractor, and the unveiling and availability, we can have that's when it'll be announced to community members, so we won't really announce it until the installation is done and is ready to be used. And then we also have a more detailed outline of the procedure in our fundraiser letter, if you guys would like to see that.
Hello, I'm William Clark, and I'm the Secretary of the American Youth Leadership Council. And so the total of the, for the fee of the installation of the baby box is $15,000. And there's also an additional fee that will pay annually of $200, but that will be provided by the fire department. And the $15,000 is the total. The $10,000 is for the free installation. So that would be before a contractor is hired. And then additional fees that would also be included in this would be the labor and materials that would be required for it. And that would be $2,000 to $3,500. The electrical alarm that would be run through the system that would be done by the contractor would be $1,200, and the annual alarm service and annual fee for monitoring it would be $200 to $300, and that's paid by the fire department. But we're looking to, we have several fundraisers going now that if there is an excess on those, we would pay that to the fire department so that they could put that forward to the, for the, basically check up on the alarm to make sure it's functional. And
Awesome. All right, so that concludes our presentation. so much for listening. We hope that if you were unfamiliar with Baby Box, you're now excited for it, and we're looking forward to pursuing this with the help of the city. So thank you so much for letting us have a voice here.
So, and some of you may have heard this at the Board of Works. I just want to say this started about a year and a half ago with Pete's for Bristol, and kind of got stalled a little bit with the fundraising, and the mayors and council wanted to take this project on and take it to the next step. They've done a great job. There's still work to do, you know, after the Board of Works, just so the city council knows. The Board of Works approved a agreement between the Safe Haven Baby Box Incorporated. The city approved that. And the city also approved a interlocal agreement with Franklin Township Trustees Office to help fund it. And then we had another agreement, which was it was the interlocal agreement. The other one was the resolution.
We had a resolution approving interlocal and the interlocal.
Yeah, and I wanted the council to hear the project that they're doing for this year, and then the trustees' office is here. And I think, Lydia, do you want to speak?
If I could, yes.
Yeah, we're kind of, this group, as far as I know, you don't know anything, right? On fundraising? Yeah.
Oh, well, I have an update on like some of the ideas that we have for fundraising. But.
Okay, so you didn't know I've been on the Board of Works. So good.
No,
Go ahead and get up and take care of it.
Okay.
Why is he trying to like mess it up?
I would like to say to you guys, that was an awesome presentation. 10 years ago, when I was your age, I don't know if I could have got up there. This is recording. Oh, I didn't raise my right. So yeah, 10 years ago, when I was you guys' age, I don't think I could have done this. But anyway, again, my name is Lydia Wells. I'm the Franklin Township trustee. And I like for my staff and board members to stand up because these guys recognize this well. And a couple months ago, I reached out to the mayor to discuss the Safe Haven Baby Box, and it's funny how things work together. The township for the past several months has been working with the state on the IHCDA Rental Assistance Program, and we've actually been making money, processing applications for them, saving the township money by referring our clients to this program. So we've been saving money and making money, which usually doesn't happen a lot. So with that, the township would like to fund the initial $15,000 that you guys need to get this project going. And I've already given the check to Jane, but I have one stipulation for you guys. I would like for you guys, even when you get, 10 years from now, you're my age, that you continue to keep, when you move through your life and you move around, even if it's out of state, you keep in contact with the township office, whether it's me or somebody else, because when this baby box is utilized, the township will notify you guys, wherever you're at in your life, to let you know what a wonderful project you guys have done for this community. Okay? Can you guys do that?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Have a big check and we need some pictures, so. You were standing right next to it, you're so neat.
Okay, you guys can help.
You guys need to come up here.
So, Lydia, I'm just thinking, since there's so many of us and we can spread out.
Up here?
Yes, if we come up here and we spread out a little
Here,
bit.
you
They all have one. I think so.
Yeah, they're limit for. I just wonder, are they sliding this in mask?
She is.
Thank you so much.
You gotta get there. The kids go this way.
Okay, one, oh, will you hold the check up more though? There you go. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. It's great. Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job. not over here.
It's not over here, but
Every time I sit down, I'm like, this one.
Back to the meeting again. Thank you to the mayor's and council and everybody that's involved. There's some other people that's involved that's not here tonight. Like Katie Finley, I want to thank her on the record so that Katie knows we appreciate all the work she's put into it as well. And if it's okay with, I'm going to put the council on the spot. It's going to be hard to say no now, right? So is it, I assume it's okay that we have, at our council meetings, have a mayor's and council person sit with us. You going to tell them no? So it may be somebody different every time. So anyway, I just want to get that out there too. So thank you guys. We'll go on our regular meeting. That is the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You weren't opposed. That wasn't opposed, right, Ann? I'm sorry.
No, sorry, it's I, but it's delayed, isn't it?
I'll remember that the next time. That was my thank you. Okay, there isn't any old business selected. Yes, there is. We have a public hearing and a old business. I need motion to read by title only.
Read by title only. Second.
Motion and a second, read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Mayor, because we do have one council member present by phone, which we're permitted to do because the governor extended the order through December 31st. But on any of the actual ordinances and motions, we'll need to do a roll call vote. Because that's part of the process of it. Even though the rest of you are here live, we do need to do a roll call vote.
Okay. Okay, so, Ann, I think you said aye on reading title only?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Item number 1, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 20-20, an additional appropriation ordinance, general fund, water work supplies, $163,000, services, $300, $163,000, capital, $400, series, $400,000. What this is, we introduced this last meeting. CARES Act money had to be put into the Board of Works to be distributed in the right places. So that is why we're taking this action. The money's there. We're not asking for money. We're just asking to put it in the right category. So it is a public hearing. So at this time, I'll open it up for a public hearing. Is there anybody with any questions in the audience? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Is there any questions of the council?
I'll move for approval of budgetary ordinance 2020.
Second.
Okay, we have I'm going to give that second to Mrs. Jones. So we have a motion and a second to approval. So Ms. Rhodes, we need a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin? Mr. Blankenship?
Aye.
Mr. Hukin?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
yes.
Ms. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Rainierson?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, if I might just interject, because we talked about it. You'll recall, council members, this is the exhaustion of all the CARES Act money. So we have now collected all the CARES Act money and have appropriated it. The governor did indicate there might be some additional CARES Act money for public announcements and public presentations. So we may be coming forward with a little more money available to us. We're going to attempt to obtain all the monies that are available, primarily aimed at public service announcements and those kind of things. Maybe hearing some more. When we last month said, told you we've gotten it all, there may be a little bit more we will receive this money.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2, which is also a public hearing, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 20-21, an additional appropriation general fund, fire merit services, $300, $5,540, clerk Jane Rose.
Yes, and I will relinquish to.
Okay, so what this is the Fire Merit Commission keeps their budget static for every year. And so by state statute, we have to have a process for new hires, a process for lieutenant promotions, and a process for captain's promotion. The outside agency that they use charges the same for each promotion. So every other year, they only have in the budget for one promotion process. And so this is the year they actually did two. We did lieutenants and captains. So they were out of money and they are just asking for additional money. And then next year, the budget they have will only be for new hires, so it should be good. And then 2 years from now, we'll be doing the same cycle.
And if I remember being on the council before, we have done this
Yes,
a couple times.
this is, for some reason, this is how Mr. Admire, who submits their budget, does it, so.
Okay, and again, so with that being said, it's open for public hearing. Is there any questions from the audience? Hearing none, is there any questions from the council? Hearing none, I think we're ready for a motion.
Move to approve budgetary ordinance 20-21.
Second.
There you go, Mr. Rogers. You got beat there, the delay hurt you. Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and Ms. Rhodes, we have roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Blankenship?
Yes.
Mr. Hukin?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Rainierson?
Yes.
And Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rhodes. That gets us to new business, and we need a motion for read by title only.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second. Second by Mr. Buchanan. Okay, on this one, we can do all in favor, so all in favor of reading title only, new business?
Aye.
I heard that. I heard the, any opposed? Hearing none. Hearing none. Item number 1, Common Council Resolution number 20-19, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Franklin, Indiana approving resolution amending the declaratory resolution for the Franklin I-65 Integrated Economic Development Area and matters related thereto. RDC Attorney Rob Schatzstall and Jeff Peters of Peters Municipality.
Good evening, Rob Schatzstall. Jeff Peters is my co-matter today. I'm the lawyer for the Redevelopment Commission. We're asking for your approval of the resolution tonight. And I was in high school just a few days ago as well. And I remember learning that you have an idea of who you're talking to if you're going to talk. So it dawns on me that some of you are familiar with this process and some of you aren't. And my guess is most of the people in the room are not familiar with it. So let me just kind of give you a 30,000 foot view of it, and then we'll drill down with a little detail. So most of the time, when you own real estate, the government charges you real estate taxes, and those taxes get collected by the government and distributed out to the people that need it, the cities, libraries, schools, county, firemen, policemen, etc. The Indiana law, though, allows a redevelopment commission, which we have here in the city, to redirect some of those monies, and that process is usually called the TIF process, TIF, which stands for tax increment financing. And what it does basically is it takes the flow of real estate taxes that would normally occur, and it redirects them according to how the Redevelopment Commission thinks they ought to be redirected. So, for example, the first TIF job that I worked on was in 1996, when we used TIF money to land Mitsubishi. That seems like yesterday to me, but if you add up how long ago that was, it's shocking. But over the years, we've done things like that, and so we can use TIF money to do specific projects. We can also use TIF money to redirect our investment in this community down through the main drag, and so the rejuvenation that everybody sees in Franklin has a lot to do with TIF. It's not all TIF, but it's a big piece. And anything that you see, you know, throw a baseball or shoot a gun anywhere in any direction, and you're going to find a piece of property that's been affected by TIF money. That's because of a process similar to what we're doing tonight was done in the past. And it's a forward-looking planning device that ends up sowing the seeds for the future growth. Tara, somebody got a map?
Yep. I think there's a few.
So in this case, what we're doing is we're wanting to do two basic things. The first is we want to expand the area where we can spend TIF money. And so what you'll see on these maps in yellow, I'll describe where this is in a second, but you're going to see a couple maps, and what we're doing is we're wanting to expand our TIF zone to pick up these new areas. We're not only wanting to spend money in these, though, we're also wanting to capture the real estate taxes that are going to be paid going forward. We think there's going to be growth out here. This is all east of the interstate of I-65, and that green line, or that line about, there's a better map there. So you'll see I-65 is there in purple, or violet, purple, running north and south, and that's State Road 44 running east and west. So this is behind Ivy Tech and Mitsubishi. It's now mostly farmland, but that it's going to grow. There's some developers who have picked it up, and they're going to put in some big buildings with a lot of people and a lot of equipment. And they're going to end up paying a lot of real estate taxes over the next 25, 30 years. And we're wanting to capture that. And on the south side of State Road 44, a similar thing is happening. I don't know if you'll see that map as well. We're going to pick up some additional parcels on the south side there in yellow. And then we're also going to do something we don't do a lot of, but we have done this before. It was done, the first time it was done, it was I think in 1994 when Musicland came to town. At that time, that was a cutting edge music CD industry, and now it's obsolete. But we're allowed, if we want to, we're allowed to also capture the taxes that a company has to pay on the equipment that they use. And that building right there is on that's the southeast corner of State Road 44 and I-65. It's a 1 million square foot building. At least earlier in the year, I think it was the largest in Johnson County. And that's going to be occupied by a company called Energizer. And they're going to put a lot of equipment in that building. And so we're going to try to capture their personal property taxes is what that's called. Is there a full citywide map?
Mm-hmm. Give me just a second.
In Franklin, we have linked our development areas into what's called the Integrated Economic Development Area. And it runs basically north and south up US 31 and up north and Main Street. And it runs east and west along State Road 44, Jefferson Street. And it includes the downtown core of Franklin. So we're able to invest in projects in that area that we wouldn't normally be able to pay for. So for example, there's currently on the books $50 million of possible projects that we could do. And we're working our way down that list, and it's changing the community. This new expansion will be like a whole new wave of TIF money that's going to roll through as those properties are built out. The reason I'm here at City Council is because in order to do this, the state law requires that the Redevelopment Commission go through a 4-step process. The first 2 steps have already happened, and tonight is the 3rd step. The first step was the passage of the amended declaratory resolution, and I think you have a copy of that in your packet. That was passed approved by the Redevelopment Commission. It then went to Planning Commission last week and was approved. Now tonight, if you approve it, we'll finish this process on Friday the 18th, December 18th, with a special meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. It's at that point that we'll conduct a public hearing and finish the project. This is a good map that shows this is the whole city, most of the city, and the blue area that runs left to right. This is the zone where we can spend TIF money. So that's roughly the downtown core where the mouse is. Courthouse is there. And then you see North and South Main Street. And then you also see US 31. And then all of the properties that we're talking about tonight are now to the right edge of this map in these hatched areas. So let's start with the purple up top on the purple. That's one zone. The one to the left of that is another one. And then the third one are all of those boxes there all south of 44. So it's 3 allocation areas. But the entire area is part of the spending zone. At least that's the proposal. That's kind of the overview. I think that you probably want to hear more about the numbers and the money. So I would like to ask Jeff to help me out, and he's done that. One of the requirements also is that we do what's called a tax impact analysis. And Jeff has done that for us, and you have that in your packet as well. That's an interesting document, and I don't want to butcher it. So I'll let Jeff speak to it, and then if you have any questions with him or me, please shout them out.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you all. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. As Rob said, one of the processes or one of the procedures that has to be done is to develop a tax impact for each of these areas. And this tax impact is to show the overlapping taxing districts, the school, the township, the city, the county, the library, etc. What is the impact of putting these areas into the TIF district in lieu of not putting them in there? And specifically, what are the impacts on the taxes? So what we have done is lay these out for each of the different areas and the Energizer personal property. We've shown where the assessed value for, like Energizer, we know an amount that they requested for abatement, so we've assumed that that amount of personal property will actually go into that facility. We have depreciated it according to the state's tax table to look at what would be its actual assessed value and how it would inflate or how it would impact the tax rate. Because what happens is the assessed value that goes into that building it's either captured into the tax base or it's captured into the TIF. If it's captured into the tax base, it would lower the tax rates for the entire taxing district. By lowering the tax rates, it would also lower the circuit breaker or those 1%, 2%, and 3% tax caps that all properties share. It also would have an amount of assessed value there that units of government that have fixed rate funds would be able to tax those fixed rate funds on a larger assessed value. For the city, that's your cumulative capital development fund. All your other operational funds and your debt funds all work off of a levy, but your CCD fund operates off of a fixed rate. So if there's more assessed value into the tax base, there's more money that you collect there. So this formula walks you through the process of if you did not allocate these new assessed values to the TIF district, let them fall into the taxing district, you would have, again, the decrease in tax rate, decrease in circuit breaker, and increase in tax revenue. And the one that's up there currently, if you want to scroll to the bottom, please. A little bit further down where we get into the tables. Everything up there in text is just explaining these tables. So this first example here, we're looking at the parcels that are going to fall into the Sunbeam, is it pronounced Maloris?
Mm-hmm.
Sunbeam Maloris. And we looked at the adjacent parcels and how they have developed in order to estimate how much assessed value would actually flow in and be captured. And here, if you go down toward the bottom and to the right, the potential increment capture of AV is about 17.5 million. So then if we go down to the next sheet, it shows if you captured $17.5 million, or basically if you didn't capture $17.5 million into the AV of the TIF and let it fall into the tax base, for that taxing district, the 2020 tax rate is 3.3080 cents. If you added another $17.5 million in AV, that tax rate would drop down to 3.2683, which is the far right-hand column. So then if you go to the next page, if that tax rate were to drop from the 3.3 to the 3.2683, we would estimate that you would generate a reduction in circuit breaker of approximately $21,708. That gets split proportionately to all the units of government that are overlapping or underlying, proportionate to their property tax percentages. So you can see the county loses $2,200, the city loses $9,269, the school loses $9,647. And if you go down below to the next page, here's the fixed rate funds that you have. The Johnson County has a cumulative capital development fund as well that is rate driven. So if you had an additional $17.5 million in assessed value, the county CCD fund would pick up $5,858 in property tax. Every time we issue or levy $1 of property tax, it draws additional piggyback taxes in the form of financial institutions, motor vehicle excise tax, commercial vehicle excise tax, and that's about 9 cents on the dollar. So for Johnson County, that levy of $5,850 would also generate about $527 in other taxes, for a total tax of $6,385 of impact. Again, this last page summarizes it, so your circuit breaker out to the right is 2206 total impact to Johnson County is $8,600. For the city of Franklin, it's about $17,000. For the school, it's about $9,650. Each of these proposals have a different tax impact, so they're all laid out there for you separately that you could look at. As you see all of these, and we've talked before when we walked through the annual presentation to these overlapping taxing districts. The big picture that you should always take away from this and look at is, for this small amount of impact, you get a huge amount of tax increment revenue into one pool of funds that you can use as a community to undertake projects that you otherwise could not. The alternative would be to issue large amounts of bonds to try and do these types of projects. But then you would also have to have all these other units of government to help participate in it to create the same circumstance that you have with the TIF district. And you're not going to get a joint project where you can issue bonds where the county, the library, the school, the city, and the township all come together and help serve that. So tax increment finance is the only mechanism that allows you to get that buy-in from all those units of government and collect that money into one place to do the projects that benefit all in the community. And I'll kind of wrap up big picture-wise on what Rob said. The things that you did years ago or decades ago, you are reaping all those benefits today of the TIF projects that you've done. This is a huge opportunity, and you'll see we're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars of potential assessed value that we think is going to materialize in these areas, which will be millions of dollars a year into that redevelopment commission fund for you to continue to undertake these projects. So I encourage you to look at those, weigh the pro and the con, and you'll see that it is a great benefit for the future development and particularly the economic development of the city of Franklin. And I'd be happy to answer any detail-related questions on the impacts.
Jeff, I just want to make a comment before the council has questions for you. I did have a conversation with Dr. Clendenning today. He wanted to know if he needed to come tonight to show his support. And I told him if it was okay with him, I just relayed a message. He's in support of this. So I'm just relaying that message for Dr. Clendenning. You guys, any questions?
Mayor?
Bob.
Councilman.
Just a comment, for those that aren't familiar with this, the new park that we've got proposed along Youngs Creek, all that, the bulk of that's being paid for by TIF dollars that's being generated from a TIF area along US 31. So that's a good example of how the community benefits from TIF dollars. I'd say about 95% of the costs are coming out of TIF dollars for that. And there's no bond issue. Well, there was a bond issue, but being paid off by the TIF revenues. Just an example.
Anybody else? I mean, it's not a public hearing, but if anybody in the audience has questions, go ahead.
Hey Jeff, can you explain that personal property tax? How is that rolled up into that? So is that going to be, let's just say for instance, Energizer gets the PPP tax. So is that after a sales tax, so they get double taxed now?
No, this is their tangible personal property. And one of the things for a TIF district, the only tangible personal property that you can capture are really business related in the form of manufacturing, research and development, logistics, equipment. So as a good example to kind of contrast on that is when we TIF the stuff on US 31, the Kroger and the Meijer. Because those are retail establishments, they still have considerable personal property inside. Registers, shelving, all those things that are not real property. Those are all taxable, but they are not captured within a TIF district and not allowed to be captured. So that continues to help the tax base and help the tax base grow. But this is not sales tax related at all, but only the tangible, depreciable personal property that are in those facilities that are restricted to those different categories. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody on the council? We can.
And Mr. Stossel, this is ready for action by this, because then you guys go back to the RDC and have a public hearing. Public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
This public hearing tonight.
No, it's not. Actually, you're passing a resolution that authorizing them to go forward and have that public hearing. But I think the mayor is still opening it up, if anybody was interested. Sure. Right. So it's ready for action tonight.
Go ahead, Ron.
All right, I'll move for approval of the resolution 2019, RDC resolution 20-13, and plan commission resolution 20-12, and the accompanying tax impact statements.
Second.
I think you'll kill that.
I think you got it, Bob. Second.
Mr. Taylor. Okay, I think we need a roll call vote on that, Ms. Rhodes.
You do, sir? Yes, sir. Mr. Blankenship?
Yes.
Mr. Dugan?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Reinerson?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. We move on to the RDC. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
Not excused.
Yes, and we be excused. Yeah, with that being said, I know Danny needs to leave about 7. I want to go ahead and skip to item number 3 on the agenda because I think that's a pretty important city council ordinance. So let's go on to item number 3, if that's okay with everybody.
And this is for introduction only, sir.
Yes. Common Council ordinance number 20-14, of the placeholder ordinance establishing a equitable impact fee for the purpose of planning and financing parks and recreational infrastructure to serve new development in the city of Franklin, Park Superintendentship order.
I just want to start by saying whoever put me after TIF financing, I appreciate that. Much better stuff. So this is, every 5 years, we are required to update our park impact fee study. And we start at the beginning that we do charge park impact fees in Franklin, not every community does. Ours have been around since about 2005 or 6-ish. So what park impact fees are basically, it's a fee that the city charges to new housing development that starts in the community. So it's not a tax, it's not anything that a current resident pays where they currently live. However, if you go and build a new house or somebody comes into the community and they're going to build a new house, then they're charged a fee because they're going to impact the park system, exactly what it's called. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what a park impact fee is. What we can use it for is a new park development. So basically the impact of the new people coming in is going to require us to have more park acreage, more trails, more amenities. So that money can be used for those purposes. It cannot be used for maintenance or operations or those kind of things. Historically, what we have used it for in Franklin has been things like the new shelter that you see at Blue Heron Park was built with park impact fees. Some trail development has been with park impact fees. This plan is a little bit more aggressive than our previous plan. I'll show you that in just a second. The reason for that is because we're going to start to be a little bit more aggressive in park development than we have been over the last decade or so. And one of the reasons why we haven't been that aggressive about it is that we wanted to keep kind of the fees low in Franklin so we could have more housing starts and those kind of things. That's not an issue anymore. There are housing starts going on all over the place in Franklin. So the old fee was $376. So every time somebody pulled a building permit, they had to pay $376. That fee is now going to where we're going to request it to go to $11.42 per fee. And I'll show you a comparison of that in just a second. I wanted to tell you what, so this plan requires us to look 10 years out. Okay? If you've ever looked in your life at what you're going to be doing 10 years from now, most of us don't have a clue what we're going to be doing 3 years from now. But that's what this plan requires, is for us to look 10 years out. What do we anticipate the population to be in 10 years? What do we anticipate our park development needs to be in 10 years from now? Hard job to do. But we've come up with some big rocks that we think that are out there. One of them is a community sports complex. If you know much about Scott Park, you know that Scott Park has not built for the impact that we see today in youth sports. It's built more toward what we saw youth sports to be in the 80s. Now it's more travel sports, it's more, more competitive stuff. And also it's got to do more with tournaments, and you can use those tournaments as an economic development tool for the community. So if you have a lot of sports tournaments, then in turn a lot of people come to the community, they're going to spend a lot of dollars while they're here. So that's one. The next one is, if you don't know much about the senior population in Franklin, is growing leaps and bounds. If you haven't been to the senior center pre-COVID-19, it's busting at the seams. They're averaging 150 people a day at a facility that's probably designed more for 50 people a day. If they have certain kind of events over there, they're parking 2 or 3 blocks away to get into this facility. So that's another one we need to look at. And a couple more. If you know much about park development, and a lot of you don't live it like I do, almost all of our parks are centralized in one area in Franklin. So we hardly have any parks that are in the northwest quadrant of the city. If you don't know where that's at, it's kind of the Knollwood, Oakleaf, kind of that area back over there. We have met with developers lately that are interested in housing developments and are interested in putting additional parks in that area. But we also need to keep our eye out for opportunities if land does come available that we can use this money to actually purchase the property if we wanted to. The final one was our swimming pool is currently, was built in 1985. They don't last forever. A typical pool, if we've done a good job, will last 30, 35, maybe 40 years. If anybody can do the math on 1985 and add 40 years to that, does anyone know what that is? It's 2025. That's vastly approaching, so we're going to have to be thinking about what are we going to do future-wise for an aquatic facility in the community. It could be just simply renovating what we have. It could be building something bigger. It could be adding on those kind of things. But this is going to allow us to take a look at that. So. There's other things on the list. If you're a pickleball player, and that's the #1 request that we get at the Parks Department is pickleball courts. If you don't know, the new amphitheater park has 8 new pickleball courts in it. So those kind of needs are we have identified in this plan. And some of them are going to be immediately taken care of. But I wanted to show you one last page. It's you'll look at page 22, like third to the last page, and then I'll let Jeff talk. Jeff Peters and his company actually did the park impact fee analysis for us. This is it. And because I don't want anybody to panic about we're going to go from 376 to 1142. Sounds like a huge jump, but in the parks world, it's not a huge jump at all. Peters did an analysis of communities that are of similar size to us in Franklin, and you'll see the closest one to us is Greenwood, and their fee is $15.90 for a park impact fee. So we're still underneath that. Matter of fact, of all of them that we've used as the analysis, we're still the lowest, even when we raise it. So.
And Chip, unlike a tax, this is a one-time fee.
It's a one-time fee?
Full, usually by the builder.
That's correct. I'll give you an example. I built a house in Franklin just moved in a couple of months ago. I paid the park impact fee and didn't even know it. So I knew it because I do that job. But most people don't know that they pay it. So
So Chip, can you tell us the committee that we had to look into this?
I did. So one of the requirements of the study is that we put a committee together of local residents that have some background in real estate, because we want the real estate community to be represented, and builders and those kind of things. And I will tell you, I told the mayor earlier that it was one of the best committees I've ever worked with, actually 26 years of doing this. And I see one, at least in the room. Mitzi Christian is in the room. Thank you. Bobby Amin was another one. Michelle Graham, PM Alt from the Park Board, and Amy Skirvin. She's a local real estate, and so is Mitzi too. So. They're a great group to work with. We basically presented the plan to them, and after we met, we went back and made a few changes that they suggested, and we are doing. I'm just like Rob. This is my last step, actually. There's nobody after this. The Park Board has approved this plan. The Planning Commission approved this plan a couple weeks ago, and then it'll go through 2 readings.
Correct. This is just for introduction only. The public hearing will be the next time. And for purposes of, once it gets approved, it then has to be published, because it's a fee, and then it takes effect 6 months from the time of the publication. So in terms of actually collecting, it's sometime next summer probably when we start with the collections. And again, it's a one-time fee.
So our next meeting is December 21st, and that's when we'll actually vote on this one.
If anybody has any questions about the finances, Jeff, I'm sure would be more than happy to. I'm sure your TIP district out.
Come on, Chip.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay.
Hey, don't forget your
So we have one more item, and we can vote on that, and as long as we have 4 people, we still have 4 people.
And we still have Ann Bill.
Yeah, and you're still here, correct?
We actually have 2 items.
Yes, I am.
Gotta wake her up.
Chris just said we had to wake you up there. Okay, so that was
I took
introduction.
myself off of mute, sorry.
Oh, okay. We'll go back to item number 2. We can take action on this. Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 20-16, authorizing a transfer from Parks and Rec Services to Parks and Rec Supplies in the amount of $5,000. Our superintendent.
Yeah, real quickly, I apologize. That is just basically to cover some supply bills we have between now and the end of the year. It's not new money, it's just moving it from 300 to 200.
So if there isn't any questions with that, we need a motion
I make a motion.
On resolution number 20-16, authorizing a transfer from Parks and Rec Services to Parks and Rec Supplies in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reinerson. All those, that do is roll call. I'll do the roll call this time.
Okay.
How about Mrs. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Reinerson?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor? Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, Chip, you can get through the year now. Thank you. Okay, next item. Request reappointment of Police Mayor John Schaefer, whose term expires as of 12/31/20. City Attorney Lynn Gray.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you know, we have a Police Merit Commission that is made up of various appointments from various entities. Tonight, the Board of Works meeting, the Board of Works set the election date for the Police Department elected member to occur. Another member is appointed by the City Council. Your member appointment has been John Schaefer, who serves as president of that Merit Commission. He has indicated his desire and interest in continuing to serve in the role as your elected, or as your appointed member, and he's willing to do so if you are so inclined to reappoint him for another term.
So, discussion or reappoint.
You need a motion to approve?
Yes.
Motion to reapprove John Schaefer to the Police Merit Commission?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second by Ann McGinnis. Ann, how do you vote?
Yay. Yes.
Chris Ryerson?
Yes.
Lisa Jones?
Yes.
Sean Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. And just to go along with that, I'll let the council know that Mr. Jeremy Fisk, who's a mayor appointment, he had stepped down because he took a conflicting job. So it was one of my appointments, and just to let you know that I chose to put on the board Marie Floyd. I don't know if you guys know Marie or not, but she's now on that board and has participated in one Zoom meeting, is that right?
Yes, yes, she participated in one meeting.
Okay. Okay, other than that, we don't have any other business outside of any council comments. I'll start right here with you, Lisa.
I don't have anything tonight.
Sean,
Nothing tonight, sir.
Chris,
I've got nothing.
how about Ann?
Thanks for your patience tonight with the delay and everything.
It was great. I'm just glad he was able to join in. So we have a mayor's youth council sitting up here with us, Ann. I'm going to ask Jenna, do you have any comments, Jenna?
It is so nice to be able to sit up here. No, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be a part of the Mayor's Youth Council, and we definitely would not be able to do the things we're doing without these opportunities and without Tara and the mayor. So if anybody ever wants to be a part of our meetings or has questions, I'm sure we'll be promoting more stuff with Baby Box soon. We'll let you know, or you can reach out to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Will, for being on the call also as well.
No problem, thanks for the patience.
Do you have?
Yeah, just for purposes of information only, council members may already have been, if you were here at Board Works, you heard it, but just in case you weren't, the city was approached over the weekend based on an emergency situation from the school corporation. As you know, with COVID, they've had certain people that have either been quarantined or people that have tested positive and can't do some of the work that they do, and they're running short in their bus garage with people to assist in making sure that the checklists are met every morning, that the school buses are safe. There's a list that they're required to check things such as, are the batteries fully charged, are windshield wipers working, are the antibiotic fluid, those kind of routine things. Dr. Clendenny reached out to the mayor over the weekend and then reached out to me and asked if we could, on a very limited basis, meet until December 18th, maybe have some of our street department mechanics assist with that ministerial function. The Board of Works, of course, agreed so that we can make sure the kids continue to get to school safely. And so for the next 2 weeks, a couple of our mechanics, they will continue to be under our care, under our control. They'll continue to be paid by us, but they will be offering some assistance at the bus garage on the morning and afternoon on a very limited basis to make sure that they can continue to operate their buses. So if you see some of our guys out of school, it's okay. We're doing it pursuant to an interlocal mutual assistance agreement. So.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, our next meeting is December 21st. So if nobody has anything else, I think we're ready for